They were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. A voice from the underground, given room to breathe, not but be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been left this dance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I have seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me away. To go, leave me, run like you never did. No, leave me, run like you've never run before.
Oh, I actually need to add myself to the camera. Hello. Welcome to the Scottish Rugby podcast. We are currently running slightly behind time, actually, to catch up with where we're at. Welcome to the Scottish Rugby podcast. It is me, John Anderson, in the hot seat tonight. We are expecting some guests to join us very shortly. We've actually just been recording a different podcast, and our guest is running slightly late. If you're here for the first time tonight, welcome. Good to see you along. Good to see so many of you joining us live as well. It's been a wee while since we've been here tonight. Happy New Year, indeed. Happy New Year. 2024 has arrived. Is this Scotland's year? Post in the comments if you're watching. We always say that, don't we? It's Scotland's year. It's going to be interesting to see where Scotland go in the Six Nations. Tonight, we're planning to cover obviously that 1872 second leg, Glasgow-Edinburgh. Also the historic match between the Glasgow and Edinburgh women. What a fixture that was, if you got along to it. If you were there, again, post up on the comments for me. It'd be great to see. We're also going to have a wee look at the Scotland squad and potential bolters. Obviously, this Glasgow-Edinburgh game at the New Year is often considered to be almost the what was it was the Reds against Blues, or if you were there, you might remember it. It was the selection matches that used to take place. We've seen that live in the URC the last couple of weeks, which has been brilliant. So as you'll probably tell, I'm playing for time just now because I don't have a guest who's joined me, but. Yeah, if you're here for the first time, as I said, welcome. But if you're returning or you want to find out some stuff, let's pop some stuff up on the calendar. It's scottishrugbyblog.co.uk. we're affiliated with. Go over there, have a look at the news. There's a particularly good article about the Celtic Cup that has popped up. I'm just going to get, 2 seconds, because I see Craig's just popped up. Yeah, we've got Eleanor has posted about the Celtic Cup. Craig, thank you for saving me.
My apologies. I was
Oh
all
my
set.
days!
I was all set to go, and then my computer decided that it was no longer recognising StreamYard, and I was like, I had to get a code, and oh man, I apologise to everyone.
I think the fans out there have just witnessed. Do you know in Wayne's World where Garth ends up in front of the camera and he just kind of shakes and kind of makes noises? That's basically what I've just done for the last 4 minutes. So thank you finally for joining. Those of you who haven't noticed, Craig Manson has joined us tonight. Craig Manson,
how you doing?
Hello, good welcome. Me and Craig have just been doing another podcast for an hour and a half, but it has, it's been quite a wee while. So, we're continuing the podcast evening tonight. It is great to see. As usual, there you go. As usual, the prop saves the day. Well, yes.
Damn right. Damn right.
Those of you witnessing my current physique would probably say I should have been playing prop too. But so I'm just Scottish Rugby blog. Head over to Scottish Rugby. Words. I have words. I definitely have words. Get involved. Head to Facebook, Scottish Rugby Podcast, Twitter at Scottish Rugby Pod, YouTube at Scottish Rugby Blog, and of course we're on Twitch. If you're one of the young birds who's on there, Scottish Rugby Podcast. If you head over to www.patreon.com/Scottish Rugby Podcast, you can support the podcast. We do really, really appreciate any support we can get with this podcast. It's great if you're able to support us. £3 a month will get you into the supporters lounge. We also have a very super secret Facebook page that you get to be part of. And I must say, don't know about you, Manson, but the chat in the Facebook page is actually quite good. Like, compared to some of the forums out there, the chat is particularly good. I'm quite impressed with it.
Yeah, I have to say, it's not to sound condescending at all to our Patreon friends.
No, I would expect nothing else,
but your chat's up to spec. That's nice, awful nice of you.
Your chat is up to spec. By the way, your prop saving the day is Dougie Lowe. He is somehow anonymous. There is no way Dougie is anonymous. Let's be honest. He is one of.
You can usually tell it's Dougie that's posting, even if it comes up as Facebook user. So.
So I've yeah, well, exactly, yeah. So I've obviously given the introduction to the fans because I was panicking for time, Craig. Let's exactly. I know, right? Let's look at let's go 1872, the second leg at Murrayfield. We'll concentrate on that first. We're going to have a wee talk about obviously the historic match prior to that game. But let's talk about, the win went to Edinburgh. The trophy went and stayed west. Everybody was a loser, really, weren't they? It was a bit rubbish.
I don't understand what you're saying here. I don't understand what you're saying. I had a fantastic day out at Murrayfield. It was brilliant. It was, apart from being incredibly cold.
It was freezing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I had a fabulous time. It was great. And to go into a game with most of the Weege and the press saying that the Weege were going to beat us and for us to turn it round was quite nice. I'm trying to be as less smug. I'm trying to be as less smug as I wanted to sound tonight.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, Craig. So actually, the build-up to the fixture, there was a lot of chat about Glasgow and Glasgow's abilities. The press did concentrate on Glasgow having won the first leg. I think it's only fair that you do get your moment in the sun here.
A certain person fairly close to me did say that Glasgow were going to, in brackets, pump Edinburgh, if I remember correctly.
I may have said that.
Yeah.
I may have said that. And I was wrong.
Hold on. Wait. What?
What's that? Is that the leave button? Oh, it's just. I could do this podcast myself, I'm sure. No, I think Edinburgh stood up very well. Particularly, like, obviously Glasgow came out, scored a try very quickly. Looked very dangerous to start with, and I think what Edinburgh done very, very well is individuals allowed them to build into the match, which allowed them then the opportunity. Glasgow didn't take their opportunities necessarily, which has been a wee bit of a story of Glasgow's season, actually. But yeah, I mean, where do you think Edinburgh? Like, how did Edinburgh win that match? Let's throw that generalisation over to you.
We've talked about this a little bit, John, and we've had a fair bit of conversation about it. As I said last week, Edinburgh, or the week before, Edinburgh seemed to be playing their game by committee at this moment in time, and the at times they were ponderous. At times they just had one-up runners offering themselves and taking the ball on singularly, and they looked pretty blunt, to be perfectly honest. Where the difference is between Glasgow and Edinburgh, is, from what I can tell, is that Glasgow tend to be a team that play together and play for each other, whereas Edinburgh seems to be, at times, they depend on the superstars to make to do something extraordinary. And obviously, the recently re-signed duo of Darcy Graham and Johan van der Merwe did that, and it was a great individual movement between the pair of them. But Darcy Graham turned that ball over beautifully, put it to Duhan, and Duhan did what I have been screaming Duhan to do for many, many games now, and that is pin his ears back and not care what's coming at him, just go for the try line. So I think Glasgow let certain things away, but I think also Edinburgh got the rub of the green when it came to their big, their high-end players made a difference at the point they needed to make a difference. There was nice little touches within it. I thought that the WP Nell, Jamie Batty.
It was a good battle, actually.
It was a good battle. Obviously VP had them on toast every single time, in my opinion. But no, it was good. It was good to look at that. I'm slightly concerned that Pierre Schumann has
lost his power with his hair.
Lost his power. He has shown his Achilles heel. But no, I think Schumann will forever be Schumann, and he's a fantastic player. I just think there were other players out there that maybe outshone him this weekend.
I think that it's where I can't believe we're going into this, right? It's where the propping battle is very interesting, isn't it? Because obviously you've always got opposite props squaring up, and you've got, Schumann's a very, very big man for a tight head. For a loose head, sorry. For a loose head. Loose head, yeah. Sorry to do a cameo there.
No problem.
Very big man for a loose as well, exactly. He was a very big. He is a huge man, and then he's up against Xander. So Schumann often shines. To quote what's just come up, Schumann often shines in the loose. I think his carrying ability, his breakdown ability in particular, is incredible. His set piece work is normally solid, but this is where, it's such fine margins in that front row now that, whisper it, is Xander Fagerson finally the tight head that we deserve? Has he reached that point where he can scrummage? His work in the loose has always been brilliant as well, but I think Xander is getting to a point where his set piece work is now at the level that international referees are going to be rewarding him regularly.
Yeah, I don't have the minute he stopped putting his legs too far back, his feet too far back, and he developed, everybody said that Xander Fagerson will come into his own once he's past 26.
Yeah.
And he is. He's getting there. He's even parked. He left his handbag. His handbag.
His handbag was nowhere to be seen.
Was left in the changing room at the weekend. So I'm getting more and more impressed with him. He's looking leaner.
He looks a wee bit. Yeah, I would agree.
He looks fitter, and he looks like he's serious. He's going to be a serious asset for him. For us, I should say, in the Six Nations. So I think, but just as you say, John, if you're looking at a front row for Scotland, Schumann on the loose, Sander on the tight heads,
yeah, totally.
There's very probably barring the South Africans, you're probably looking at one of the best front row pairings there's out there.
Yeah. It's a very, very strong, and you've got backup as well. Yes, WPNL, as I've just said in a previous podcast, that WPNL might actually be a vampire, and I'm pretty sure he might live till forever.
76 minutes he played on the weekend.
Yeah, what is that? How? Why?
Well, that's because Darcy Ray's on the bench, but that's a different story.
Well, let's pull at that thread slightly, because I have my views on that as well, Craig. Let's pull at that thread very. Those of you who thought we were coming to talk about Duhan, by the way, just leave now. It's okay.
We'll talk about Duhan at some point, but
we might, in context of how he could probably be a prop. We're going to dissect props to the nth degree here. Darcy Ray. Darcy was considered to be one of the great prospects of Scottish rugby for a wee while at Glasgow, till people realised he couldn't scrummage. And then he went to Bath, and then people realised he couldn't scrummage. And he's now come to Edinburgh, and he's getting 4 minutes in 1872. What a waste of a wage.
And that sounds...
I'm deliberately sounding incredibly harsh, but you're going to temper my harshness, aren't you?
No, I'm not. And that's my problem. And that's and I want to I wholeheartedly apologise to Darcy Ray if he happens
to stumble upon this.
If he ever stumbles across, he's a professional rugby player. He deserves he works hard, and he puts his body on the line. I cannot take anything away from that. The problem I have with him is that he is just taking into account Bath's season last season when they brought him into the front row. He gave away really brain dead penalties regularly. Yeah. He scrummaged badly. He looked like he couldn't get to the rucks quick enough. He would lose the ball in contact. It was just, he had an unfortunate season with Bath. Let me be kind on that side of things. We let it, again, Edinburgh and the SRU do things that are brain dead at times. They let Murray McCallum go.
Yeah.
First of all, and Murray McCallum can scrummage both sides of the scrum, and they also that added on to letting Matt Scott go, and where we are currently in Edinburgh, we're struggling for centres. People say we're not struggling for centres. We've got plenty of centres, but we've not got centres that maybe we should be demanding.
Matt Scott's a different level to. It's back to depth versus quality. Just because you have quantity doesn't mean you have quality.
Yeah, and you could almost coin the Benot phrase for the pair of them. But that's the thing. I don't know what they're doing at the moment, and I guess one of the big issues we have at Edinburgh is that we are all the high hedgings of the SRU can walk out onto the training pitch and have a watch, whereas at Scottstown they can't do that. So there's pressure on everybody there. There's a it just seems an odd one, and I just found to bring Darcy, have a prop that you're paying a certain wage for, who then comes on for 4 minutes or 5 minutes in an 1872 Cup game. It's ridiculous. He should be on. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. It's ridiculous, and it's a waste of a wage. The point you were going to make is they should be on at 60 minutes, 55 minutes. Like the best teams in the world change their props at 55 to 60 minutes because they've got depth.
Yeah.
If Darcy Ray is not good enough to replace WPNL at 60 minutes, he is not good enough to be an Edinburgh prop.
Yeah.
Same with Javan Sebastian. Same with any other player who, and that's not to criticise WP. He is a phenomenal prop. He's also a 38-year-old man. Like, we're getting to a point where there should be a handing over the baton, and the fact that he is still the premier tight head for Edinburgh is a little bit of a failure of the SRU's recruitment strategy.
Well, there is, but you have to look at, and not to go into huge detail, I suppose not everyone's want to have a full discussion about forwards.
I'm pretty sure everyone that's watching wants to talk about props all night, Craig.
But who do we replace WP Nell with? Who do we replace Schumann with? Who do we replace Xander with? Who do we replace Batty with? Because with no disrespect at all, probably a little bit of disrespect.
There's going to be a high amount of disrespect.
But if Jamie Batty is your backup loosehead for Scotland, then we need to be and also there you go. Let's maybe bow down to a John Anderson comment here and say if Javan Sebastian is one of your backup
tight heads, you're not a world class team.
There's a question mark to be having here. So
Javan wouldn't make any other team in the top 8's tight head. He wouldn't be a tight head for the top 8 in World Rugby.
He has proven himself to do certain things very well.
What are they?
I think he can scrummage. Maybe not to the level of VP or to Xander, but I think he can scrummage quite well. I think he'll develop.
You're
now that he's
agnostic about scrummaging. Okay.
Well, let's just say that he has not had a very good opportunity over the last few years to get proper scrummage coaching and to scrummage correctly.
Right,
there is an opportunity for him to get better and better if we can have that. The problem I have is forget about Javan's level of scrummaging, whether you think it's good or not. Who's behind him in the queue?
Yeah.
And that's my issue. We've got people like Callum Norrie coming through. We've got people like I'm trying to think. Well, there's Murphy as well. Murphy Walker's there, but there's two things happening with Murphy Walker. I mean, he's still incredibly raw, and the second thing is he keeps getting injured. So
that's the other point, isn't it? When you're trying to get young props through, like I think Xander was probably the exception, that you get props do mature later, and the very nature of what they're trying to do is generally fits a mid-20s moving kind of, a start sort of early to mid-20s and then move through. Xander's a bit of an exception to that, but I think he'll pay the price for that in his later career. And that he's probably matured earlier. I don't see Xander being a 38-year-old prop for what it's worth.
No, you'll see him retiring at 34.
Easy, yeah.
Easy. But where you also have to look at those is, and it's probably it's a hand in the ruck for me, and I'm probably bringing it on early. But
let's throw it out now. Let's go, Craig.
I'm going to throw it out now because
give the freemiums a hands in the ruck. On you go.
Absolutely.
Do you want a jingle?
Let's go. Do it.
What do you want a jingle?
Let's do it.
Hands in the ruck, who has got their hands in the ruck? Hands in the ruck, hands in the ruck, who has got their hands in the ruck?
Oh dear my, it's reached this point already. Welcome to 2024,
already.
People.
So those of you who don't pay for Patreon and don't support us, this is Hands in the Ruck, and this is the quality of debate you will get when you. Maybe I shouldn't have advertised that. I don't know.
No,
anyway,
no.
What I'd say is, currently we've seen report after report of people like Finn Smith, Gus War, all being chased by Gregor Townsend and being offered to start, and etc. etc. Now, this could be conjecture, it can be a load of rubbish, whatever it is. where I'm angry about it is we don't seem to be seeing. There's no reports saying that such and such a prop has been spoken to by Gregor Townsend and off, because that's where we need them. Second row, we have issues with second row going forward. We don't have a 10 issue. We don't have a 9 issue.
No.
We have we have a centre issue because we need to, there's a concern about who backs up the love pairing of Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, and we have a prop issue. We have a front row issue. So I just
Scottish rugby. To expand on your point, Craig, and through the duration of your watching of Scottish rugby, we've seen some brilliant Scottish props. Scottish rugby perpetually has a prop issue.
Yeah.
We often have one or two. We never have depth. And the way the game is now, you always need that depth. And it absolutely is concerning that you see the reports going, we're chasing Finn Smith. I think Finn Smith's a fabulous player, right? I think he would do really well in a Scotland shirt. He would be third choice in a Scotland shirt.
Could be fourth choice.
Could be fourth choice. Could be fifth if we're being really controversial.
Well, if you look at the a year ago or 2 years ago, Finn
Russell's fourth.
was fourth choice behind Jamie, Thompson, and this is what I just don't seem to understand is this.
Yeah, we don't chase props.
We don't chase props. We need to be chasing these front row players. Like we did a good job on his name's just gone right out of my bloody head. The Edinburgh hooker to Ashman, Ewan Ashman. We chased Ewan Ashman, and we got him in. But you've got people like for example, Kamikaze George Turner. If George Turner's going to continually throw himself at people's feet and damage himself, we're going to be in a situation where we've got the wonder kid coming through, Johnny Matthews, but.
The wonder kid, he's like 29.
I know. But and to be, I have to say this, and whether people like it or don't, and I know you and Johnny are two different things.
No, it's
he is not a scrummaging hooker.
No,
he's not a set piece hooker. He's fantastic, and the only set piece he is good at is
once it reaches the back of the line out.
Yes,
and it has to be very particular to get it to the back of the line out.
Yeah, and he's very good in the loose.
Yeah,
and so we have to. I honestly feel we have to be very, very careful here because we need to start seeing some more of these younger players coming through. We need to start looking. We can't continually trot out Sam Skinner. We can't continually trot out Richie Gray because these guys are going to be gone soon.
Let's put that aside actually for a second, because I think we've touched on a very interesting point. And sorry to everyone watching, we're going to head off on a wee tangent here, so just go with us. If you're here, you probably know this is how it happens sometimes. Right. So you're a schoolboy playing rugby just now. You know everything that's happening in rugby. You know about CTE, you know about all the risks involved in rugby. What in your right mind would make you want to be a front row or be a second row? Why would you do it just now?
And that's the discussion I've had. I spent a season in an under-18 squad that had no props.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking this question, because I think it's very, very. It's a hard question. I don't expect necessarily a direct answer.
You also, and whether this is you also have an issue with body image.
Yes.
And body image has moved on significantly from my day, even up to maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
you had
100%.
props who you were a game for all. You'd have a bigger kid who was bigger built, who got the
The
ability
oversized
to play prop.
the three jersey, the oversized one that everyone has in the kit
Yeah.
bag. It's bigger than everything. There's your 3 jersey. Oh, that fits you well, mate. There you go.
But John, I'm going to go on an even bigger tangent here.
Go for it, please.
with you.
This is a
You
tangent episode. Go.
You have the issues of kit suppliers having big girls and big lads looking at replica shirts and shirts for their own team, because if Macron can supply to main teams,
if you can't
all
buy a
these
shirt
are-
that fits you, yeah, exactly.
Well, how? Okay, we're all agreed. I'm a big fat boy, right? But to have me walking into a Macron store and having to go through the rigmarole of getting a 6XL jumper hoodie, a 6XL, that's ridiculous. Because in old terms, and a few years ago, that would have been a double XL. So you've got this body image issue that's going through all of the different. You've got these players who are pulling on shirts that are incredibly tight on them. They don't like it. They don't feel comfortable in them. You've got this laughy, jokey side of things of, it's only fat boys that play prop, or fat girls that play prop, which is ridiculous, because anyone who pulls on a rugby jersey and goes out there on a rugby field is athletic in far more ways than I would ever be at times. And it just gets a negative image. So when it comes to, especially younger players coming through, nobody wants to play prop. Nobody wants to play hooker. So it almost the forwards are looked upon as the big slow dumb boys on girls. But that's changing slowly. But it's not. That's why the SRU have brought out these scrum clinics and the Scrum Academy to try and bring on more and more props. It's a little bit too late,
Yeah, well, it absolutely is, and you're absolutely right. Like, I've found the mentality. We always joke about the front row, the front row union and things like that, and I think we are in a situation now where young players are smarter. And everyone wants to be, and you just have to look at, like, we look at players like Schumann, we look at players like, Richie Gray, Scott Cummings, Jack Dempsey, yes, please. We look at these big ball carrying forwards and we think, that's the sort of player I love. But then every single SRU marketing campaign goes, look at Finn Russell swinging a pass, look at he who shall not be named that used to play fullback, skinning someone. Look at Duhan, skittling English defenders for fun. We're in an era where try scoring, and rugby union is about try scoring, and we're in that position. No one wants to be a tight head forward, and it's it is. You're absolutely right. I think body issue is at the heart of a lot of this, but. How do we solve that, Craig? Because like other countries are, and I have an answer that I think is the issue to this. But other countries are producing tight head forwards. Other countries are producing front rows. Why are we not?
I think it's got a lot to do with, and this is where women's rugby is increasing dramatically, and this is because women's rugby are resetting the clock.
Yeah,
they've come in and gone. And they've really fired on of rugby is for anyone who wants to play it. We have a position for anyone that wants to play it, and they really they've put in measures that really anyone can feel like they've got a home. Whereas men are slightly different. They tend to be more tribal. They tend to be more. Don't get me wrong. I know many tribal women, but it's they seem to not let things bother you. Not let but inside they definitely don't want to be known as the fat boy or the boy that can't run or this, that, the other. whereas they should be celebrated. Looking at Johnny Matthews now, we laugh about Johnny Matthews, we talk about Johnny Matthews, and I keep going on about how I'm fed up with hearing about Johnny Matthews from certain people. But Scotland and Glasgow and the media should be celebrating this guy because of the amount of props, the amount of tries he scored, showing that he may not look sexy. Well, some people might find him sexy, but he may not look sexy. But what a phenomenal player, and we should be celebrating. But also, and I think Brian Dalglish's put a wee message up there.
Oh yeah, let's pop up to this one. Yeah, so Craig, I feel your pain in buying Macron kit really makes you think twice about buying it. 52-inch chest is not 5 or 6 XL. What this is it, yeah. And you're talking about rugby kit. You're not talking about normal, like a t-shirt.
Yeah, and this is where I just feel that they should knock it back and start again and have an extra small as a small or whatever, and just bring that down a little bit so that people are more comfortable in the shirts, but also they don't. Me buying okay, I've got a pretty hard neck, and I'm pretty thick skin, but going up with a 6XL hoodie to buy it,
it's a bit sore, isn't it?
It's not the happiest day I'm going into the Edinburgh shop or the SRU shop.
It feels bad because that's the thing, and even I've got an extensive rugby top collection, as those of you who follow the podcast are very aware, and the variety in the sizes from, let's say, large through to what is a couple of X's on me. The variety in that, the difference in the feel that I have in those shirts is quite something, and I actively avoid shirts because of that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Of course you do, yeah.
I do.
It feels crap because you're a supporter and you're like, well, body positivity. I feel good. I feel okay. Like I feel personally. Well, I'm knocking my mic and everything. Yeah. I personally feel okay as in the shape I am, but some rugby tops make me feel like crap.
Yeah,
and that's not acceptable. And it's hard because we are in a sport where masculinity, let's cut away women's rugby for a second, but we are still in a sport where masculinity, the hard hit, the ability to bounce back from injury, the huge dominance of the physical form is at the absolute crux of what promotes the sport. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Like, some of the best players in the world are tiny. Some of the best players in the world are bloody massive.
Yeah.
And that is rugby in its nutshell. And I know we've got so far away from the 1872 here, but I think this is such an important debate to have that, this is at the absolute crux of what rugby actually is. And, we're sitting here and...
Sorry.
No, on you go, please. No.
And that is where we're finding, and I think it's an addition to the struggle of CTE and people not wanting their kids playing rugby. We also have this issue of rugby is falling dramatically across Scotland. Male rugby, numbers of participants are drastically falling. You've got teams out there who have been stalwarts within Scottish rugby for many, many years are now fielding one team where they had three teams before. And so the time pressure on people who play rugby, the work pressure that they have. I gave up rugby because I kept, okay, fair enough, I'm older, and I became more and more unfit, then got more and more injured, which took me away from work, which I couldn't afford. So, those are the sort of, and that's just me. Forget about the younger guys.
One person.
That's one person. So it's just a difficult situation, but there are things there are little bits and pieces that could be done that would help us celebrate a little bit more the change at the different sizes of people, but not in a negative way. I saw one piece. I think They had, I think I've forgotten the prop's name, but I'm sure he plays for Exeter. He signed from Northampton Saints or Tigers and went down to Exeter. And they're talking about he's got the biggest shirt they've ever made in Exeter colours. And it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Who cares about that?
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about, look at this guy, how he can scrummage? He's, look at a guy that's a big lad who can move around the pitch as well as he can.
It was the same when your boy, and I'm going to butcher the name, right? But the Fijian lad that played hooker for Glasgow, Mesa Dokoloto,
Okay.
who was as wide as he was tall. Like
Mm.
I think he had the highest BMI of anyone who had ever played for Glasgow because of his height and weight.
Yeah.
Because he was so short, but he was a brick.
Yeah.
And on his debut, he scores 2 tries. And he doesn't necessarily going to have a good Glasgow career, but the fact that that's the first thing people jump to, like, oh, he's got a big BMI. Oh, look at the size of him. He's massive, but he's short.
Mm.
Like, we're still obsessed with size.
Mm-hmm.
We're obsessed with the way, like, the skill level of players. Like, so we've talked at length about the players we like. Right? Yes, we love the fact Duhan can run over the top of people. We love that, right? But we also love Darcy Graham, who is the absolute antithesis of Duhan.
Yeah.
They are little and large. They're what English Premiership football teams used to put up front. They're the 4-4-2 of rugby. Little and large. There you go. We do try to celebrate these small players, but ultimately we are in a sport that's still obsessed with physical contact. And what is the tagline that you've always been told on rugby, Craig? What is rugby union? It is what type of sport is it?
Well, I'm always been told it's just it's a physical sport, but it's a sport for all.
Yeah, it's a sport where you look for space, not look for contact.
Yeah.
And we try to tell people that, but it's a massive sport based on massive players, and I don't think we're getting away from that anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think you're right. We do need to celebrate people who are, they're not different. They're normal. Like, there's 100 people with the body shape of certain players sitting out in the crowds looking at them going, I wish I was you.
Mm.
It's brutal that we're in this situation. Right. That's our virtuous part of the podcast done. We've had a hands of the rock and everything. Let's talk a wee bit more in depth about 1872. Edinburgh, individual brilliance. You've got world-class back three. You've got some world-class players up front. You turned the game purely on the back three for me. Duhan and Darcy, clearly guys that only play to crowds that are 37,000+.
I think it's.
I'm obviously joking, but
yeah, I think you could probably level that at Duhan. You can't level it at. At
I don't think you can level that at Darcy. I agree.
But on the other side of things, I actually think Healy, turned it on.
Vastly improved. Improved. I thought it was his best game for Edinburgh, actually.
And Ali Price sped up a tiny bit and took a couple of big risks, which paid off. Same with Mark Bennett. He took a couple of big risks. Mark Bennett, I'll tell you,
he was very good.
If you're going to level the playing for 37,000 fans, Mark Bennett's the man. He really showed. He's been out the squad a little bit or been on the bench a fair bit, and he really showed that he's got a hunger not to be, because he turned up at the weekend. So I thought. It was an odd one, because I really think that that Xander was good around the park. I thought there was an awful lot of injuries for Glasgow in their defence. They've got a strong defence. They're up in your face a lot. I think a lot of because Sean Everett is talking about making Edinburgh more physical and more more dominant in the set piece and in contact. I think it showed with Glasgow's defence that they were going in quick and hard, and they were dealing with large players coming at them hard, which unfortunately took a toll on some of the players. So it's been I thought it was a bit kind of meh game, with a couple of exciting bits in it.
I would agree. I think the second leg was a bit crap, to be honest, and I think, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it was both teams know each other quite well, and both sets of players know each other well. I thought Ali Price, that was his best game for Edinburgh, which isn't saying much. I think Ben Healy, that was his best game from Edinburgh from a long stretch, and that is saying much because I think he has actually been very good. But I thought it was so controlling, and I think Edinburgh are two centres short of a very, very talented side.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones into that Edinburgh side, I think you've got a world-class side there.
I would just take Tuipulotu, to be brutally honest with you.
Totally. I don't even know if you need Jones.
I think I enjoy Matt Curry. I think Matt Curry is someone who can really grow into a decent player. Yeah. I think he's a club player. I'm not sure
he's a club player. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to reach the heights of Scotland, but I think he's a very good. He's almost a Stafford McDowell.
Totally.
He's a big lad and quite dominant. But I'll tell you the person I'm really pleased to see working out well is Wes Goosen.
Goosen was exceptional both legs. I really like the cut of him. I think he's a great wee player, and do you know what? Actually, both fullbacks for both legs, Josh Mackay on the other side as well. I thought Goosen and Mackay were probably, for me, the two talented players in the park. They both looked very up for it.
Tom Gordon did though as well. Tom Gordon's
an angry.
He looked dangerous going through contact. A couple of times we were in the West Stand, closer to the Edinburgh defending try line in the first half, and Tom Gordon had a couple of runs there that looked difficult to deal with.
He's a very good player on the loose. I think Gordon's a total, Gordon should be a Scotland cap by a long way.
Yeah,
he should have 20 caps, but he gets his chance. Hamish Watson drops off, and then Rory Darge, who's a once in a generation talent, turns up. It's one of those ones that's just timing.
Yeah,
I think Gordon's a great player, but Darge is a much better player.
Yeah.
And that's just how it works sometimes. But we're happy to have Tom Gordon. But the fullback battle for me, I think Mackay and Goosen are I don't think they're players that Glasgow and Edinburgh attract all the time. I think they're world-class players who other teams have bypassed. I think they could go to a team in France and people would be singing their praises.
But I think they're players, especially Goosen, who have come from Mike Blair.
Goosen's a Blair player. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he's a Mike Blair type of player, and unfortunately, I don't know if he's doing very, very well under the over the season. I think
he seems to be doing his own thing though, as opposed to playing the party line, which I think sometimes if you've got quite a structured strategy, I think sometimes you have to let these players just do their own thing.
Yeah.
But so we've talked at length about the 1872. Congratulations to Edinburgh for taking the 4 points.
Over to the 4 points.
Do you know, that's the bit I was disappointed about. Honestly, I would have taken the win, and had you won the cup, obviously it wasn't an option after the first fixture, but the points are always more important to me. But Let's talk about the main event of the weekend, the absolutely historic fixture. Edinburgh women, Glasgow women played just before the men's game. The first outing for both sides. Just like an incredible spectacle of rugby, and yeah, I mean, I'll not lie. I sat there the second half. I had a wee tear in my eye just watching it. I absolutely loved the match. I was so excited by it.
It's a real for me. It's something that's come together finally. We've had
Finally,
we've had East v West games before, and they were put together and they were hastily put together, and things kind of worked out that way. And I've been along a few East v West games, and they've been nice, but I I bumped into. I'm lucky enough to know at least three of the players who are involved with
yeah,
Edinburgh
yeah,
through the How Harlequins, and I met up with Molly Pullman at the end of the game, who's a prop who plays for Watsonians now. Well, she plays prop hooker, and Molly, her face, she was freezing, but
aye,
her face was just never. And her exact words were, "We could have lost her. We'd been still over the moon." She's an
yeah,
Edinburgh fan. She's been wanting to play high level rugby for so long. She's been coming through the um, the the um, the youth system, and she's played for the Thistles before. But to pull on an Edinburgh shirt, that's not just an Edinburgh shirt off the peg. It's a proper
yeah.
Edinburgh women's
It's
shirt.
an Edinburgh rugby shirt measured to a woman. That
Yeah, she was over
unbelievable.
the moon, and
It was.
so I was thoroughly impressed, and I'm really happy. Slight, if I'm going to give any negativity out of it at all, and that is the SRU shut ticket sales
Yeah, the
the
night
night
before.
before. Yeah,
Yeah, what was
and
that about?
they basically said that they only staffed the main stand, which is the one opposite the Lothian stand, which is
Yeah,
the one where that's the only tickets they were selling. They didn't sell any other tickets, so there was a lot of people who, and I have to put my hand up and say I was the one got caught. I got caught out myself. I had family who wanted to go through, and I know other people had family wanting to go through, and people who came to watch the game prior
yeah.
to the 1872 Cup and couldn't get tickets because they thought they would be able to buy on the door. Now, okay, fair enough. That's hands up, unorganised, etc. But life is like that sometimes.
Life at Christmas, life at Christmas and New Year is absolutely like that, and the SRU have absolutely missed the target yet again with that, because obviously walk-up sales were going to be a thing.
Well, they probably could have had at least another stand open,
Yeah,
and sell a fair
100%.
amount of people, because there was a lot of people I knew that were coming through to the 1872 Cup and said, you know what, we're going to just buy a ticket and go and watch the women's game
Well,
as well.
that's the thing. Yeah, you've got people turning up and just going, "Oh, there's a game of rugby on. Fuck it, let's
So
whoa, whoa."
so there's a little bit of negativity there, which is disappointing. But overall, fantastic. Edinburgh looked the more convincing.
Professionals, professional
Yeah,
side.
but
Yeah.
to be brutally honest, any team that has Claire Cruikshank involved in it are going to be at that level.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Edinburgh on paper had the better side by a long way. And do you know, fair play to the Glasgow girls for sticking in. I thought
oh yeah,
they'd done a good
absolutely,
job.
and they can't walk away from that with their heads down.
No, far
You
from
know,
it. Far from it.
um,
They put in a good performance. Fitness. I think fitness and professionalism told in the end. In terms of the Edinburgh side, I think they were fitter and better drilled. But ultimately, you know, both teams go on to the next fixture in the Celtic Challenge, and I think they're very good sides. I think they're good.
yeah.
Like, you know, there's no doubt. I don't think either of the teams are going to get whitewashed in this tournament. And I think, given that they are both technically scratch sides that have been pulled together from nothing. I think they're, the talent in the women's game is unbelievable. Like Scottish Rugby, if we harness what we have in front of us, and let's be honest, the SRU have previous on managing to absolutely poop the bed on this front.
Yeah.
But we've got a great opportunity here, and I loved the fixture. I loved it, and I can't wait to watch the next one. I'm so excited.
And being able to watch it on iPlayer as well.
Yeah,
that's a phenomenal. That's a great thing to have. And
and for a first tournament, just getting that on iPlayer, that's that ability to even watch it and catch up or whatever, brilliant.
Absolutely. So, if anyone's more interested in this side of things, there are some good blog posts on the Scottish Rugby blog regarding all of that. So, if anyone is wants to hear more and maybe look at a more structured conversation about it than maybe you or I, John, yapping away about it, they can certainly they can go into the blog and see a really nicely written piece about it, and hopefully they can catch up.
There is absolutely some excellent pieces over on scottishRugbyblog.co.uk. Head over there and you will catch them. And as Craig rightly says, they're probably more coherent. In fact, they're definitely more coherent than us on our, what is this, Craig? Our 3.5 hour of podcast now. So,
absolutely.
So I think we are possibly getting tired at this point, but we do have to head over to our Patreon only section, and we're going to do that tonight. And we're going to set forth into the Hands on the Rock section properly. Craig's obviously giving you one as a Christmas bonus, if you will. Oh, pardon me. Oh, that was a big burp. But yeah, we're going to head over there. Thank you everyone who's joined us for this part of the show. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. We do have some changes afoot on the podcast. We're currently just doing some things behind the scenes, so we will be in contact with a few of you just to understand what the podcast needs to look like moving forward, what you guys want, but we'll try to make sure that you get a coherent podcast. Well, actually, we probably won't. We'll probably just do what we want, and listen to it.
I would say if also if you're not a Patreon, please look into the Patreon side of things. But if you have anything that you want us to cover or you want to talk about, I'm at Scrum Champion on X, and you can my DMs are open, so you can have a wee message through to me.
Oh, his DMs are open. Dirty boy.
I never even thought of that, and you've gone down that right into the gutter straight away, and we're not even on the Patreon side of things yet.
Yeah, no, if you absolutely, if you contact us, we're both on Facebook, but Craig's at Scrum Champion.
Yep, Scrum Champion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm at Skinchenko27, SKINCHENKO 27. If you give us a message on Twitter, if there's anything you want us to cover, please give us a shout. But we are going to we'll reach out to folks. We're going to try and revamp this because we want to give you the best possible content that you guys can have. Also, we've got Patreons. Please look into the Patreon side of things. Craig's absolutely right. There's some cool things over there. So if you're interested, head on over. But for now, it is time to head over to we're going to ditch the free to air. We're going to ditch the BBC. These guys are right. We're moving over to the freemium content now. It's time for us to say goodnight. So good night from me in my Stormer's top, and good night from Craig Manson.
Good night all. See you later.